Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook, and I'm here to talk about the latest episode of Batwoman Season 2. It was called It's Best You Stop Digging. So last episode left off with Ryan in some distress, medically speaking, because of the kryptonite poisoning that for some reason took months to take hold. So I wrote down, well, the crypto shit is hitting the fan, isn't it? Because she wasn't doing well. Of course, Mary comes up with a way to stabilize Ryan temporarily, but she says, she's going to need that miracle cure from the flower from the island, and so we have to get a flower, so we have to find this map, and, such the plot is set into motion for this episode, and the overall plot they've been working with is thereby, continued and made to dovetail with the hey, let's find Kate plot. So we leave this scene, and next we get some Alice position, otherwise known as exposition about Alice. So I wrote down, some Alice position. Yay. I had hoped that this season was going to be better. The first couple of episodes, they teased some cool stuff. They seemed to be heading in a cool direction with the character. And I think they still sort of do have a better character in Ryan than they had in Kate. But the overall plot that they're choosing to go with for the main story in this season is just bad. It seems like they've abandoned the whole thing with the snake bite, which, if they had carried it forward, it could have been good, even if it's a little derivative. But they didn't. They seem hell-bent on doing this Alice-based plot, just like last season. And this time, it's they compounded it with a story about her which they did before, but now they've I guess, oh boy, I'm at a loss for what to say. The previous backstory plot that they had with her ran its course, right? So they just came up with another one. So they've got the present day Alice story where she's, Wonderland obsessed, as it were, and crazy, and determined to get revenge on her family. That hasn't changed. But now they've got a different backstory for her, which now covers the years from, just after the whole thing with Mouse or whatever that she, lived through in the past, when she was younger, to just a couple of years ago, apparently, when she somehow got on this island and fell for this guy, Ocean, which didn't sit well with the lady who runs the island, Sapphira, and she wiped her memory, apparently, which explains why it's just, I don't know why they're doing this. But anyway, moving forward with the other story, Mary and Luke leave the room where Ryan is sort of lying in the throes of the kryptonite poisoning, and I guess to have a conversation, and or to look something up or whatever. And while they're away, Ryan, who wasn't strapped down for her own good, bolts up and takes off in the Batmobile, no less. So I wrote down, the bat is loose. And she stopped to put on lipstick, because while she's driving the Batmobile, she has a hallucination of her mother. So she keeps, turning to her right to talk to this apparition of her mother that's in her mind. And you can see she's wearing lipstick. So she not only bolted up, put the bat suit on, or put the rest of it on. No, she wasn't wearing it at all. She not only bolted up, put the bat suit on, and stole the Batmobile, but she stopped to put on lipstick. And was able to do it quickly enough that she got out in the Batmobile before anybody noticed she was away from the gurney that she'd been on. Where's she going? Oh, she's going to her ex-girlfriend's house, or her girlfriend's house, to try to figure out how she's going to get to Alice. But before that can happen, we get yet more Alice position. We get more of this plot explained to us, and it comes out that, like I said, she fell for this guy Ocean after initially not liking him, but they became sparring partners, and they just fell in love. And this pissed off the lady, and the lady said, "I'm gonna erase your memory and send you back to your town so you can get, or send you back to Gotham so you can get revenge on your family. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna make you think that you're Alice in Wonderland because you like that book so much." And I was like, really? It's like, I don't know, paint by numbers writing. Like, if you have to put words in the actor's mouth in order to, like, again, expositionize the plot that you never really explained, you're doing bad writing. Because it doesn't make sense that I mean, I suppose it makes sense, but it's just such a bizarre thing for this character to do. It's like she pulled it out of her ass. It doesn't. It's just silly. But back at the Batmobile, Ryan is heading apparently towards her girlfriend's house. But Luke and Mary haven't figured this out yet. They're trying to figure out what she's doing. They're trying to reach her on the comm. She's not answering. And they're talking to each other like, what are we going to do? Where could she be going? How are we going to stop her? Since when can the Batmobile not be remotely shut off? I think I brought this up before. Since when can the Batmobile not be remotely controlled from the Batcave? Now, I suppose if you're in the Batmobile, you could enact the override. So maybe that's what's happening, but they don't say it. So it makes it look like they don't know that the Batmobile can be controlled remotely, and it makes the audience feel like we're not supposed to know that there's a remote control feature in the Batmobile across whatever media the Batmobile has ever appeared in, although maybe not from the beginning. But in comics, it's remotely controlled. In the video games, it's remotely controlled. In the movies, it's remotely controlled. I'm pretty sure in the 60s TV show, there was some element of remote control on the Batmobile. So they should at least bring it up and say, we could normally remotely control the Batmobile and shut it down, but, Ryan has enacted the lockout, the remote lockout, but they don't even say that. So it's just stupid. And do I think that in her state, she would have thought to, would it even have been believable? I don't know, but at least they could have said it. They didn't even say it, and it's just bad. And they did the same thing the last time someone stole the Batmobile, that they couldn't shut it down. So it just doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, Ryan finds out that her girlfriend's cheating on her, apparently, but the girlfriend doesn't realize that Batwoman is Ryan, so that's probably going to come up later. But in this confrontation with her girlfriend, Ryan ends up getting knocked backwards over the balcony, and she falls down and slams into the roof of a car. Now, we already know she isn't going to be hurt by this because they said in the season premiere of season 2 that you could, that Kate in the bat suit could fall from X number of feet high and not get hurt. And it was way higher than this second floor walk-up balcony. So we know she's not hurt, but she's knocked out, which, okay, she's knocked out. Luke and Mary show up in, I guess, Luke's van or whatever, Luke's vehicle. And they they managed to get her down off the roof of this car and into the back of his truck while a Gotham police chopper is, bearing down on them with its, searchlight on and telling them, stop, stop, as the police would do. And of course they don't stop. But nobody rappels down from the copter. Nobody fires on them, which, maybe they wouldn't fire on them, but they don't do anything except say stop, because apparently Batwoman is a suspect and they don't want them making off with her. I don't know. So they make off with her. Mary ends up driving the Batmobile, whatever. But this also brought up a question of why did they have to figure out where she was going? Since when can the Batmobile not be tracked from the Batcave? Again, maybe Ryan turned it off, but they don't even mention it, and it just looks so bad. But what I was thinking in this particular moment with the cops is, don't they know or don't they think the cops will follow them in the helicopter right to the Batcave. Like, first of all, if you're escaping from a crime or something the cops wanted you to stop doing, and they're in a helicopter, they're going to follow you. Secondly, in this case, not only do you not want the cops to follow you, like in any case, but in this case, why would you want them to follow you to the Batcave? Like, why? So, what were they supposed to do? I don't know, but I know the writers put them in that position and then didn't. Nothing came of it. Like, they don't say, "Oh crap, they're going to follow us to the Batcave." They don't actually follow them to the Batcave. Well, stupid. But they get Ryan back to the Batcave and the lab or whatever it is, and she's like tripping bat balls, like just having all sorts of hallucinations or flashbacks or a combination actually, where she's confronting Alice at the scene of her mother's death after she like was trying to talk to her mother but realized her mother was dead in a pretty gruesome way actually, and then she attacks Alice, but it's all she's just tripping. So it was very strange. But then we go back to the Alice plot on the island, and it's before the lady Sapphira has decided she's gonna, you know, erase Alice's memory. And they're talking about how, you know, the flower on this island represents a miracle cure. And Sapphira's talking about how she has a very loyal army at her disposal on this island that nobody knows where it is. And it all sounded a little familiar to me. You know, it all sounded a little bit like Raj Al Ghul. This character is a Ra's al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul ripoff. Her island is basically Nander Parbat, and the miracle cure flower thing is basically the Lazarus Pits. Now, I don't know if this character exists in the comics. I should actually look that up. But if it does, it's a ripoff of Ra's al Ghul, and they shouldn't be using it. If it's not in the comics, it's definitely a ripoff of Ra's al Ghul that they shouldn't be using because it's so stupid. Just use Ra's al Ghul, like what? Or use one of his daughters. They already exist in the CW. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's infuriating. The good news, though, is that by the halfway mark in this episode, they had not mentioned Kate. But then they did, at like the 32-minute mark. And this is when the Crows infiltrated this medical place trying to find the map. Of course, they find everybody dead, and they don't find the map. But they mention Kate. They say, "I've got to find this." You know, her father's like, "I have to find this map. We have to get Kate." Oh, but they've already been here, and they took the map, and it's a dead end. Why are they following this plot? Next week, we're going to see where the proverbial bat poop is going to hit the fan. The guano is going to hit the fan next week. It looks like from the promo. Where they show Alice like being shown into the room where Kate supposedly is, but where we know she's not. Unless they do something really dumb and they've recast her just for the purpose of this, whatever they're going to do. I don't know. I had so much hope for this season in the beginning. I was heaping praise on a lot of what they were doing, and it's just bad now. They've thrown all that away. And just it's terrible. Again, like it was last season. I thought they learned a little bit. The character is better, like I said, Ryan, but the writing's just horrible. More good news, they didn't seem to mention race or social issues in this episode. There was no grandstanding in this episode about, cops are bad and there's systemic racism and so forth. Not that I mind those things because, I agree with the positions they tend to take. But they're not doing themselves any favors when they put these issues in the show. And so for that reason, I prefer they didn't, because I don't know. If the show had been good with the writing, I would have felt like I really don't want to see it go. At this point, I'm starting not to care, but it's still early in the season. They could still pull it out. And I'd hate for them to sabotage themselves with all this SJW stuff. And I was glad that there wasn't any of that in this episode. One good character moment they had was when Ryan is explaining to Mary, that once they've stopped her from tripping balls, or tripping bat balls, that she just has to go and pursue Alice. She has to get Alice and, I guess, avenge her mother. It's just what she has to do. Even though Mary's telling her, look, you're very, very sick. You need to sit down. You need to take fluids. We need to try to figure this out. You shouldn't go around, exerting yourself, blah, blah, blah. And Ryan says, look, there's no map. The crows didn't find the map. We don't know where this island is. We're not going to get the flour we need to fix me. I'm going to die, and soon. And I want to go out having accomplished this. So Mary lets her go. I thought it was a good moment for the character when she explains, I'm dying. Please let me live what's left of my life on my own terms, not sitting here waiting for a cure that's not going to come. So I thought that was a good character moment. She basically says, I'm as good as dead, so get out of my way. I thought it was good. But then we came to the part where that I sort of talked about before, where the Sapphire woman explains what she's going to do. She's going to erase Alice's memory. And the Ocean guy's like, no, don't do this, because she's going to erase his memory too, by the way. She didn't like that they fell in love with each other, and that she wants to take that away from them. Doesn't want to kill them, wants to let them live and take away their love for each other so they won't ever remember it, which means that they won't know it was taken from them for longer than a couple of minutes between the time she tells them that that's what she's going to do and the time that she actually starts doing it. Because from then on, they won't realize it's been taken from them. So I don't get that. I guess she figured it would be self-satisfying for her to know that they forgot and they're not going to be together and happy. I don't know. But of course, they keep flashing back to this anytime they touch each other, so they're going to remember. And then that's when she explains that she's going to do the thing with Alice, which is supposed to explain why Alice is Alice, whose name, by the way, is Beth. It didn't make sense to me. I don't know, especially because she's kind of like a female version of the Mad Hatter, which has a completely different origin. It's just a mess. I wish they would ditch this character, even though I like the character. I shouldn't say I wish they would ditch the character. I wish they would ditch the storylines that they've given her and do something good with the character, because the actress does a good job. I don't know. I just don't know. But ultimately, of course, Ryan does find and confront Alice. And Alice says something, quippy to her and dismissive to her. And she says, do you know who I am? To Alice. And Alice is like, well, no, so many women have worn that costume. I'm starting to lose track of who's so many women, 2 women, one of whom was your sister. And so why would you say that? It's not so many women. That doesn't make any sense at all. Then she talks about how she is now responsible for 2 Batwomen. Once Ryan reveals to her, I'm Batwoman because you killed my mother. She's like, oh, I spawned 2 Batwomen. Now, I couldn't remember how it was that Kate made the move into the bat suit and what it had to do with Alice, but I suppose it kind of did. My memory's fuzzy on that. But I don't know. I don't think it was good of them to bring that up, because I think they were better off letting the audience forget that both Batwomen women were inspired by the same person and their actions, because that's dumb. It's like a coincidence of coincidences. So I would have left it out. I wouldn't have put that line in there. Anyway, they fight because, of course, Ryan's trying to kill her. She wants to kill her. She almost kills her. And she doesn't. She ends up letting Alice live. So Alice lives again, because she had a hallucination of her mother saying, baby, don't do this. This isn't you. Don't kill this woman. You're better than that, whatever. So she lets her go. When she gets back to the Batcave, she explains to them, well, I didn't kill her. You didn't kill her. That's good. Luke says, that's good. We don't have a killing thing. But why is she not here? We do still have an apprehending thing. Oh, I let her go. You let her go? Why? And, I was thinking, okay, why? Let's hear this because I can't think of a reason. And then she explains it. She's going to go to the island so we can track her. Oh, well, how are we going to do that? I put a tracker on her. You did? When did you do that? Because you went there planning to kill her. You were dead set on killing her, not tracking her, not, you know, letting her live in any way, shape, or form so that she could be tracked, killing her dead. So you didn't put the tracker on when you first got there. You didn't put it on during the fight. And then you had both hands around her neck from behind. You let go, and she immediately got up and left. When did you put the tracker on her? You would have had to have been real quick, and you would have had to make the decision before you let go. And you would have to have taken one of your hands super quick, grabbed the tracker, and put it on her before she was able to get up and walk away, which was only a couple of seconds for her to catch her breath, which I don't think she fully did. She kind of caught her breath halfway. So when did you put the tracker on her? I don't know who's writing this show. I thought they maybe had a handle on it in the first couple episodes. They seemed like they might know what they were doing. They brought up the Joker. They brought up Black Mask. They brought up Scarecrow, if I remember correctly. They had Zaz. They had this plot with Snake Bite that could have been something. Nope. They just fell back on Alice is trying to kill Kate, which was the plot of last season. And they threw in this Ra's al Ghul clone that we don't even really know what her motivations are. She just doesn't like people showing up to the island and trying to take the flower. Other than that, she doesn't seem to have anything going on. Other than that, she didn't like what happened between Alice and Ocean. She's just kind of there. She's like, what do you call it, a MacGuffin in this season. So I don't know what they're doing. Next week, they're going to, it seems, reveal whether or not Sapphira actually has Kate as she's been claiming. And then there's only one more episode that I guess is going to air for the time being, because if you look on IMDb, there are only 9 episodes listed. And I've looked elsewhere as well, Wikipedia, I think, and there are only 9 episodes listed there. I doubt that's the end of the season. They're probably going to take a break and come back with more episodes, but it's really weird that they're not listed anywhere. Normally, even if a season is going to have a hiatus, you can look up and see, okay, well, this episode this week is the last one for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but then there's going to be another one. No such thing with Batwoman season 2. It just looks like it ends at episode 9. I doubt that's the case. Only time will tell. But yeah, this show, it's a mess. And I wish they would go back to some of the stuff they were doing in the first couple of episodes. But that's all I have to say. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and, click the notification bell and send me an email. Well, yeah, I put my email address up. I can put it up again. You can tweet me. I'm at hypersonic1701 on the Twitter. I'm hypersonic1701 at outlook.com. But if you want to write it down, like I said, it's earlier in the episode. You can rewind. I'll put it up on the screen. I'll just give it to you every way I could possibly give it to you so you'll have it. But that's it. I'm going to take off. I'll be back with more on Batwoman next week. Until then, once again, I say peace and long life.